So my talk title this morning is All the World's a Stage. In the e-blessing that I sent out last week, I shared a video about a little traumatized penguin in South America. For some reason or another, she had been traumatized by the water, and she wouldn't get in the water. And this is a big problem for a penguin because this is where they live. It would be to have a penguin traumatized by the water would be akin to me developing a phobia of Kentucky Fried Chicken. It would be a point of concern. Now, penguins, they're a rare kind of bird. They don't fly through the air, but they fly through the water. It's their home. It's where they get their food. It's their freedom. It's where they find their joy. So this little traumatized penguin, she ended up at a rescue center because people had noticed her, had noticed that she was losing weight and she was in trauma. So they got her to a rescue center, and they gently guided her back to overcome her fears. First, they used little small pools and then larger ones, and finally they got her a penguin friend. And the penguin friend showed her how much fun the water could be. When they were ready to release her, they took her and her friend out on a boat. They got them out to the ocean. Her buddy dove right in, but she stood on the edge. She was contemplating, she was thinking, she was pausing. And finally, the trainer gave her a gentle nudge. Now, actually, I was watching the video. It was more of a push than a nudge. Yeah. And she went in. And the moment she was in the water, she remembered who she was. And she was off to frolic and to play and to live a full life. How often in life do we need a nudge? Sometimes it's a challenge. Sometimes it's a friend. Sometimes it's a quiet whisper from Spirit. I wonder if the turmoil we see going on in our world right now isn't a punishment. Maybe it's a nudge. Maybe it's sacred encouragement. The universe telling us it's time to remember who we are. We're not here by accidents. We're not just a body. We're not just a name on a page. We are channels of God's love, vessels of divine creativity. We belong here. We have a right to be here, and we have a right to live fully with love and joy, health and prosperity. And since we are here, we might as well make the best of it, to make the best of it. There was another video that I included this week. It was about Broadway in New York. There's nothing I love more than going to a play on Broadway. I think that's just the best of the best. And right now, there is a blockbuster running. It's Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal. They are appearing in Othello. And tickets are going for $500 a piece. Yeah. Now, for $500, I'm not only wanting the ticket, I'm wanting to go out to dinner with both Jake and Denzel. I'm getting dessert, a selfie, and they're picking up the tab. That's what I want for $500. Now, I love that these two gifted actors are willing to take on Shakespeare, because to be on Broadway, that separates the pros from the wannabes. If you can be on Broadway. Almost every famous Hollywood star at some point wants to try Broadway, and even the famous ones, they don't always make it. Betty Davis, she had a huge flop on Broadway. Tennessee Williams had wrote a play specifically for her, The Night of the Iguana. And she got on the stage and she just couldn't do it. And it was going so badly that she got to a point where she was hamming it up on stage just to get recognition from the people. Betty Davis, someone who preached professionalism, was reverting to some, unprofessional behavior. So it's wonderful to see Denzel and Jake pulling it off. I celebrate that. Not only celebrate them, but all the people that make it possible, the people who do the costumes, the lighting, the directing, the marketing. It takes hundreds of people to make this a success. And all those people are at the top of their game. Because like the saying is, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. These are the best and the brightest. And I also like to see that there are people who are doing so well economically that they can afford a $500 ticket. That's a good thing. Never feel resentful about anyone else's success. It's a sure way to block abundance coming into your life. If it works for anybody, it can work for you. And so when you see someone doing well, celebrate their success. It's also wonderful to think that a play written over 400 years ago is still packing theaters. 400 years ago. Now, there's always been some controversy about Shakespeare. They've never been able to find any manuscript, and he wrote huge volumes. There's never a piece of manuscript from any of his plays or any of his sonnets in his own handwriting. Some people have suggested that no one person could have produced so much brilliant work and at the volume he was doing, especially someone who had no education and had never traveled, lived right in his little area of England. There's a suggestion that maybe it was a nobleman who was using a pen name. There's also the idea that there was several people that were producing all these works. None of this makes much sense to me because I've worked with writers almost all my professional life, and I've never met a one of them who wasn't willing to take credit for a successful work. They just don't do that. So I think what he did is he opened up a channel. He became a portal. He tuned into something larger than himself. Ralph Waldo Emerson said that he apprehended the common heart. He was a seer, he was a soul that looked into the depths of human nature and not only reflected it, he revealed it. And that's what makes him exceptional. He created kings and queens, lovers and madmen, but more importantly, he created us. Our fears, our ambitions, our inner monologues. Shakespeare didn't write plays, he wrote people. He said things about us out loud that we only say into ourselves in our inner dialogue. And that's what genius does. It opens up the window of the infinite and shines through the finite. Now, Othello is one of his darker plays. He did write the tragedies, very, very dark plays, but he also wrote comedies. He wrote romances. He could write anything. And unfortunately, Shakespeare will get very dark. Othello is basically about human duplicity, our tendency to believe the worst in ourselves and each other. The main character, Othello, he's a respected Moorish general. He's a mercenary. He's been hired by Venice to protect them. He's very successful, very well respected. He shows back up in Venice to report to the leaders of Venice. And while there, he falls in love and he secretly marries one of their daughters, Desdemona. And her father, having wanted to make a better match for her, is furious with her, furious about being deceived. And so he whispers in Othello's ear, "She fooled me more, she'll fool you." And that one whisper planted a seed of mistrust. And that seed, with the help of a bitter heart, became a whirlwind of destruction. His next lieutenant is a true villain, Iago. And Iago is furious that his co-worker, Cassio, gets promoted over him. And he sets out to destroy them all. And he's good at it. At one point he says, "I am not what I am." And that line is a dark mirror of the divine. It references the reply that Spirit gave to Moses from the burning bush in Egypt. You remember Moses comes upon the burning bush, and the burning bush tells him, you go to Pharaoh and you tell him to set my people free. And Moses asks, who shall I say has sent me? And the burning bush replies, you tell them, I am that I am. That's who sent me. I am that I am. Iago inverts that, and he becomes the dark matter of the soul, thriving on chaos for the sake of chaos. If he were alive today, he would be a politician. When we live in alignment, when we live with the divine I am, we thrive. When we live in contradiction, we suffer. We wear masks, we manipulate, we forget who we are. And Iago's great motivator is jealousy at Cassio. Cassio, who gets the promotion rather than him, he's young, he's charming, he's well-spoken. And Iago is furious that he gets the promotion. It mirrors the story in Scripture, Cain and Abel. You remember Cain is the elder, and his sacrifice is rejected. Abel, the younger, is favored. And instead of rising up, Cain strikes down. And Iago does the same thing. And his jealousy becomes his destruction. Jealousy thrives on the idea we are not good enough for Spirit's blessings, and that those over there, they have what rightly belongs to us. That's jealousy. It's a small and limited view of the universe. Because we are not broken, we're not fallen, we're radiant, we're creative and divine. You were God's best idea for life when it spoke you into creation. You have the answer to every challenge you'll ever face. And Spirit has never been disappointed in you for one moment. You're here to witness how glorious you are and how much you're supported. Now, one of the ironies of Shakespeare is that he thought his sonnets would bring him lasting fame. That was his passion. The plays he used to pay the rent, and he dashed them off in great hurry. He didn't worry about their success. He wrote from freedom of fear, the freedom of rejection. He jumped into the ocean of creativity and held a mirror to the face of the divine. And we can do the same thing when we stop overthinking and allow the great divine creativity to flow through us. Because, let's be honest, we don't always know what's important in our lives. You look back on decisions that you've made, some things that you thought were very important turned out to be not so important. Some incidental things can be critical. I always think it's amazing, you talk about in our relationships, we plan big events, the graduations, the weddings, the homecomings, and that's all wonderful, but sometimes it's the conversation in the car to go to the convenience store that's most memorable. In Scripture it says, in the end, every mountain shall be made low and every low place shall be made high. We don't see things clearly as they are. Shakespeare thought his sonnets would matter most. Now they're seldom read outside of college campus literature courses. But his plays are selling for $500 a seat. So don't worry, don't wait to be perfect. Don't wait to be ready. Open up, write your poem, start your business, make the call, jump in the water. Let Spirit nudge you if it must. Let it push you if it has to. And when you go in, go all in. You're not just a character in the story of life. You are a co-author. You're a co-creator, a divine spark in the sacred play of the universe. And all the world is a field of consciousness. And our role is to awaken within it, to awaken from the dream, to live from the light, not the mask, from the blessing, not the burden, from our deepest truth, not our darkest fears. And dear little penguins, now is the time to jump in and fly. Now, all of creation is waiting on you, needing your love, your light, your creativity, and your joy. All of creation will not be complete until you step up and know who you are and whose you are. You're a child of the Most High. You've come to witness yourself as a channel of God's blessings right where you are and right as you are. You are beloved by the Creator, and it has set you forth to know how powerful and how loved you are. And now's the time. This is the moment. You're needed now more than ever. So get out there and spread your wings and fly to the highest flight or dive to the lowest depths, because you are protected, you are loved, you are supported, and this is your time. It's the truth in your life this morning. It's the truth in mine, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.